So the winning matchup that I had for my holiday movies was between these two, was between All the Creatures Are Stirring and Red Christmas. So how did it go? Well, let's start with All the Creatures Were Stirring. I didn't really like the movie. It's an anthology movie, which I'm actually not against. It's kind of nice to have little vignettes or little stories that may be combined in a larger story or not. If you have one that you particularly don't like, it's not like the entire movie's based off of that. So that's the nice thing. But the bad thing is if you were really digging a story, the same thing's true. It is a very short story, and then you go on to something else, and that can be kind of a bummer. For this one, I don't think that they were all connected in the same world. I mean, there's a general story that happens, and then you see the smaller stories in that. So the general story is just one story, it's connected there. But the individual little stories that happen during the film, they don't seem to have any connection, or at least not what I saw. There was some funny moments, but those were brief and kind of minor. So that was kind of a shame. That would have been something that I would like to see, as there's a few stories that are more campy, that are more funny in concept. I kind of wanted them to push that a little bit more. All in all, I don't think the movie was all that fun. I wouldn't rewatch that. So the plot synopsis is, and I'm not sure if I got this correctly when I watched the movie, but it's people that meet up to watch kind of an art presentation. It's kind of like a theater show or something. And I think they're meeting on the first date, but that's where I'm not clear. I don't know if they are meeting each other for the first time or if they've met each other beforehand. The individual movies are different parts to this play that they see. So they see the characters acting out the themes of the story, or the main characters and actions of the story. And you go in, and it might start the story along, but then you get whisked away to a proper movie style of what the story is. And then it comes back and you see the art rendition of this story. So I did like that part. I did like the uniqueness that the stories were presented, but I don't think it actually went anywhere. It didn't add anything other than, oh, this is a neat concept, I like this. But it didn't make it funny. It didn't break it up in any way. The underlying idea didn't present anything to me. So was this movie scary? I'm racking my brain. There wasn't a time where something was spooky that was happening. I mean, there was stories that I enjoyed more than other stories for sure. But as far as spooky goes, as far as scary, I don't think so. I think, yeah, I think that it was pretty minor. Like I said before, the overline story is pretty novel. The individual stories, most of them I also think are novel. They're not all novel by any means. The kill count is actually quite low, so if you're looking for something that has a good amount of casualties, let's say, it is not the movie for you. There are some parts that I enjoyed more than others. Was the movie moody? I don't think so. Like, there's some parts of the movie that I thought they could make moodier for sure. There were some parts that were really begging for that kind of atmosphere. It kind of felt like what the characters in the overall story that went to see a play would feel. It kind of feels barren in a way. It kind of feels like you're watching a school play situation. It doesn't feel like much of anything. So let's talk a bit about the poster. I'm not gonna rate this matchup based off the poster. That's a totally different thing. The poster seems really fun, right? Doesn't it look fun? It is very misleading. I mean, at no point, and this is a spoiler, I'm sorry to ruin this for you, there is no point where there is a demon or a monster in a Christmas decoration. Nope, that doesn't, no. I would love that story. Especially since I'm a child of the 80s, I had lots of broken baubles for the tree. And I would have loved a Christmas story where a critter or whatever is in a Christmas bauble and having a bull in china shop like I was as a kid just kind of run around and break that, and then chaos ensues. That would be great. Was it this movie? No. Unfortunately, this movie was not as fun as its poster. And that was a shame because as I saw the poster, I was really in the mood for what this movie could be. That's what I get for judging the movie by the poster. I also do this for books. Let's just go into the reviews a little bit. Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb are pretty similar in percentages there for this movie. Some people really like this movie. I don't know if I saw the same movie as them. They saw a humor that I just didn't see, or they witnessed something that I didn't witness. So that is something to consider for sure. The ratings aren't very high, so it's not like I didn't like a film that everybody else liked. It seems pretty in the middle. There's lots of people that don't like it. There's some people that do like it, but they're all the reviews are kind of medium. Nobody is saying it's the best movie they've seen, and nobody's saying it's the worst movie they've seen. The next movie that I want to talk about is called Red Christmas. This one is a 2018 Australian horror film, and I thought it was fine. It was kind of funny. It had a great amount of diversity in their characters. This movie comes with a big trigger warning, and I don't know if YouTube will censor why I would say it's a trigger warning. So it revolves around idea around the unaliving of an unborn child. And I know that YouTube sometimes doesn't like that word being used. So it is surrounded by that. That is the sole basis for this movie. So if that's a trigger for you, it's probably a reason to second think this film. It's not the best film in the world. It's fine. So if you're gonna sit one out, this is a good one to sit one out on. I mean, you're not necessarily missing anything. I did like it fine enough, but I don't think I'm gonna rewatch it. Was this movie moody? Again, it wasn't moody at all, I don't think. It was a little bit eerie at times, but it didn't sustain that as a total, like, kind of mood for a movie. It kind of had little periods of that. And if we're going into whether the movie itself was scary, I wouldn't say that the movie was really scary, although it did have moments where I was just kind of like, interesting. It did have good deaths. So some of the deaths were more novel, and some of them were kind of like cheeky and made me laugh a little bit. But I wouldn't say that it was scary. I would think that the actual movie was okay for a younger audience, but because of the topics, maybe not as young as I originally would have thought. But as far as the horror elements, they were quite tame. I almost forgot to tell you what the plot of the movie was. Okay, so the plot of the movie was a Christmas dinner was happening with the matriarch of this family, and they get together and they're visited by a stranger who's, you know, right away this stranger is not right. And the stranger tells the matriarch that 20 years ago he was the child, the unborn child, and he was the unborn child that she tried to unalive. And he has come back and chaos ensues. I want to say that quite a bit of it is predictable. I mean, you get the sense of where they're going. So not everything is predictable, but a fair amount, I think, was predictable about the movie. So as far as reviews go, this movie actually did worse than the other movie. Not by a ton. I want to say the other movie I saw at like 5 out of 10 or 63% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. And this one was more like 45% and 4 out of 10. So the movie itself, I think, is fine. I didn't have the issues that some other people mentioned that they had with the movie. I actually kind of disagree with a lot of the reviews of the movie, as I thought it was more fun. I'm trying to stick up for the movie here, folks. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So if we're going to compare the two movies, how would the comparison go? So which film do I think was more unique? I definitely thought All the Creatures Were Stirring was the more unique movie. It had those individual stories, which a majority of them had pretty neat concepts to me. Not all of them were unique by any means. I think half of them might have been, though. And the overall story, I don't remember anthology movie being introduced in that same manner. So I have to give it a point for that, because which movie was more moody? Like I said before, both of them were not really moody. I would say between the two, more eeriness was felt and more moodiness was felt, even though it wasn't a full feeling to the movie. I think it was felt during Red Christmas more, so I would have to give Red Christmas the win for that one. So which one was more spooky? There was more cat and mouse kind of action in Red Christmas. And because of that, there was more opportunity for you to be spooked. Although I don't think it was very spooky. I don't think the other one was either. Yeah, I think Red Christmas would win there. Which movie was shot better? All the Creatures Were Stirring was a very basic kind of video shots. I mean, I could have done that, I think. I could have set up tripods and just let it go. It wasn't very artistically thought at all. Now, Red Christmas, even though the shots themselves, a lot of those were shaky cam when it made sense. the shaky cam was really a display of how a character was feeling kind of panicked, rushed, disoriented, whatever. The settings for both movies, it's very minimal in the one movie, and all the creatures are stirring. I think it was meant to be minimal. Really, I can't give at any points for that because I don't think it was well done. It seemed kind of like art and crafts to me. For the Red Christmas, it really felt like there was thought for the set pieces and whatnot. As I said before, I would not rewatch any of these movies. Didn't particularly enjoy that much. All the creatures were stirring, and even though I found a few parts in Red Christmas to be humorous, it's a no from me. So which movie would I recommend more? This is a hard one to answer. I mean, they're very different movies. I don't think either of them are particularly fun, but if a person wanted to see a higher kill count, I would definitely say that Red Christmas is a slasher, so there's more creativity when it comes to those deaths. If you're wanting kind of a quieter movie, maybe Red Christmas, but honestly, I don't think I would recommend either. I think that there are better anthologies out there and better Christmas slashers. Would I recommend any for the background or to have at a party or whatever? No, I'll just say no for that. So thinking about all the things, what movie do I think wins this matchup? I think Red Christmas wins the matchup. For All the Creatures Were Stirring, even though it's more unique, and I feel that has a bigger weight for me, Red Christmas just was better in a lot of other ways. And even though I wouldn't watch either of them again, if somebody wanted to watch All the Creatures Were Stirring, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't watch it with them. With Red Christmas, if somebody wanted to watch that movie with me, I can see myself watching that. I'd be on my phone or something while that movie was going on. It would just be something that I would casually watch. It's not something that I would very actively watch. So there you have it, folks. Those are the two Christmas kind of horror movies that I've seen so far. There is a Last Drive-In thing for Christmas, so I'm gonna review that next. And I am going to put on my community tab 2 new matchups. So I look forward to see your votes for that. And in the meantime, I hope you're having the best day that you can in the situation you find yourself in, and I will talk to you later.